I was
Mhm.
giving away a lot of tasks, but I wasn't giving away a lot of authority. And as a result, everything was bottlenecked up at me. And so I was looking for someone to help me with my stuff, the things that I didn't want to get rid of, to make sure that I either did it better or got rid of the things that I don't need to be doing so that I can do the things that only I need to be doing. And so me and some of the people that were helping me agreed that I needed to get some help so I wasn't the bottleneck to everything.
Hello, and welcome back to the Dream Support Podcast or YouTube channel, wherever you might be consuming this. My name is Micah. I am the co-owner and co-founder, along with my wife, of Dream Support LLC, and we provide remote executive assistance to busy leaders. Today's conversation is with Mike Henry Sr. I'll let him talk about what he does and why he works with us, but I'm very excited to share kind of his learnings and his experience with us. Hopefully it is helpful to you.
I lead a nonprofit organization that is designed to help Christians integrate their faith into their work every day. And there's really nothing else like it.
What you'd kind of summarize is that Follower of One, which is the organization that you lead,
Mhm.
is an online community designed to equip marketplace Jesus followers as we try to integrate our faith into our daily lives.
Mhm.
And it's
Yep.
amazing to kind of see, because I've seen several different kinds of organizations that have similar missions, and so it's really cool to see the different pockets of this same idea forming across several different
Yeah.
places. What is unique to Follower of One that maybe isn't unique to somebody else? Is there anything that you can think of?
So yeah, for 25 years, most of the what people would call the faith at work movement, I put that in air quotes, has been aimed at people who have discretionary time. They have some flexibility in their schedule. They're professional workers, or they're white
Uh-huh.
collar in some way, or they are executives, entrepreneurs, or CEOs. Follower One is aimed at trying to help those of us who don't have that flexibility. We want our faith needs to be something that we can apply in any given minute, in any given day. There's nothing of our experience over which Jesus doesn't claim that he's the king. And so I'm sorry, I can't be too busy to do something with my faith. There must be something I can do. And that's the idea behind Follower One.
That's cool. So we're very integrated faith um,
Hmm.
into all aspects of life, and so that expresses itself in work, but also other places, all just because it's inseparable from yourself, right? It's just a
Exactly.
part of you. Yeah, I like that. So, what in your eyes, in your mind, um, you know, what prompted you, or what was the reason that we started having a conversation? You smile, you
Yeah, well,
laugh.
I've hired a lot of people to help us with Follower One, but helping me particularly with the things that I was doing for myself wasn't one of those things. And it wasn't long before I became the bottleneck to many of what was going on around in the ministry, because I was the one who figured it out. I was the one who figured out how to do it the first time, or and all of a sudden, what I'd really done, because we're we feel like we're building a prototype, and as a result, it was hard to give away the jobs. I was
Hmm.
giving away a lot of tasks, but I wasn't giving away a lot of authority, and as a result, everything was bottlenecked up at me. And so I was looking for someone to help me with my stuff, the things that I didn't want to get rid of, to make sure that I either did it better or got rid of the things that I don't need to be doing so that I can do the things that only I need to be doing. And so me and some of the people that were helping me agreed that I needed to get some help so I wasn't the bottleneck to everything. And it was right about that time that you and I connected.
Awesome. And you've been working together for a few months now.
Hmm.
Um, Tell me how that's been going. What was it? What has that been like?
It's been good. So for me, the biggest challenge was I've never really had an executive assistant.
Yeah.
Um, I've always been the guy who figured out how to do it himself. I mean, even if the company that I work for had a travel agent back in the day, I would use them to get me in and out of trouble, but generally I would do most of my own stuff. I set up my own things. I was kind of proud of the fact that I could figure out how to do whatever I needed to do. But
Yeah.
what happened was is that I just slowed down a little bit and think in an orderly fashion so that Tammy could help me with some of these things. But then when she did, all of a sudden they were gone and I didn't miss them. They're not the activities that I wake up every morning to do anyway. So it started getting easier, and now we still meet weekly because I keep coming up with new tasks and keep coming up with new ideas of things. And so that's one of the things that happens in my brain is when something starts working, then I'm banging on it more. And so, well, I just got off a call with her just a few minutes ago, and she got new activities. So it's working well.
Awesome. So you started you came in at our, I think our lowest level package was 5 hours a
Hmm.
week, and you started working on that, and then you reached out and you were like, "Can we move up? I'm
Yes.
seeing there's more opportunity here." And so
Hmm.
we bumped that up, and so you started exercising that muscle, and
Hmm.
the more you exercised it, the stronger it felt, and the more opportunity you saw. And so
Exactly.
that's that's what happens. That's what happens. People just
Hmm.
start seeing it. They're like, "Oh, light bulbs start going off. I don't have to do this. Someone else could do that. I don't have to do that. In fact, it'd be better if somebody else did that. So then
Yeah.
I can focus on the things that I really want to wake up and do." Even
Well,
though you're very capable and proud that you could do any of the things
uh-huh.
that you're asking someone else to do.
Well, yeah, some of it just drives me nuts. So so yes. But what's been good, even for me in this, because another point in the maturity of our organization
Mhm.
is it's time for me to stop tinkering with the prototype. I need to define this in such a way at a higher level so that people can envision what it will look like one day and invest money in it and help us get it going. And this tinkering with the details and tweaking the nuts and bolts of the prototype is not a long-term strategy for us. Um, the biggest mistake we can make right now is try and put a bunch of people on the prototype that we built. So I'm trying to spend more energy at this conceptual level, a level above where I typically lived, to help people understand what it is we're trying to do. And so that the having an executive assistant and other team members who are taking over operating the prototype is the first goal. And we have to create
Mm.
areas of responsibility for people
Yep.
so that we can actually delegate authority and not just tasks in
Right.
our future world. And so I'm trying to piece all that together. So it's really forced me to kind of get out of the nuts and bolts, you know, uh, bolt tightening kind of thing that I've been doing for a long time.
Wow. And so you're experiencing a season where it feels possible to be handing off more and more to different people,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
even beyond Tammy and different people that you work with,
Hmm.
and then which enables you to grow and have a bigger vision and communicate that over time. That's great.
Yeah.
So
It's, and Tammy's involvement on our team, my executive assistant is Tammy. Her involvement has been very helpful because it's just that many more bolts I don't have to tighten.
there's another interesting part to this because Tammy just happens to be close to your location. Isn't that right?
Yeah, very close.
How far would you guys? How far apart are you guys in
I
terms
say
of?
we're probably 4 miles apart. We both live on the north side of Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is really funny because you're in California,
That's
and
right.
so it was really interesting. She drives past my house regularly, going to stuff like church, and she's very active in CR and in a church, pretty large church here in Tulsa. And to get to either of those things, she pretty much drives right past. I mean, a couple 100 feet from my house. So,
That is hilarious. It's just the world gets real small real quick
hmm
when you're looking for the right fit in things. And we honestly did not match you guys based on location. It just happened to be a byproduct
yeah,
of that. So, yeah, that's
yeah.
been what kinds of hurdles? I know you described a couple of things. You hadn't worked with someone like this in this capacity before. What are some of the hurdles that you kind of have had to overcome to kind of work with Tammy and figure out how to do this?
Well, so the very first one was to just leave my email alone. I didn't, because she doesn't work for us full time,
Yep.
I had to wait for her to get back around to us to clean up some of the email stuff that was in there, and it wasn't happening. I was doing most of it.
Mm.
In fact, I still have a personal email address that she doesn't mess with for me, and I have to kind of remind myself to just stay in that mailbox and clean that
Right.
one up and stay out of the other two. Um, but
Yeah.
it's so interesting how you get in these habits. One of the other challenges that I have is um, I give her so many things to do, different things to do, and then when we want to make them repeatable or ongoing, we're having to go back through some of the notes that we have. She's created a list of all of her tasks, and we're just trying to keep up with the ones that are ongoing versus the ones that are done. And
Yeah.
so that we can keep that going and make sure that we're that she's working on the right things. And hopefully as we create some of these other jobs in our organization, many of those oddball tasks will get put off onto someone who's going to be responsible for that area. And so
Sure.
hopefully the variety of things will settle down. But right now it's been kind of chaotic, but she's been keeping up with it really well.
That's great. Um, yeah, that's interesting. The email thing is a huge thing. Having the self discipline to let it sit for a while is really hard for leaders.
Yeah.
There's an unspoken or a misunderstanding that we have as leaders that as soon as we get an email, it should be replied to as quickly as humanly possible. And it's not true. Um,
Yeah.
it's not true. I mean, I'm definitely like I'm trying to get to this or have somebody get to this within 24 hours, unless it's the weekend. For most
hmm
things, I'll let it sit. But it doesn't have to be within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But at some point along the way, it felt maybe it was when we made the transition from just phone calls. Phone calls are immediate. So it, we transitioned to written stuff and we thought, well, it should be as quick as a phone call or more efficient or something. And so we just started making this habit, but it's not really how things work. Yeah.
Yeah, and the ones that take more than 5 minutes to resolve are the real problem. I mean, the easy ones are like the bait, right? And then they suck you into the 20-minute ones, and
Yeah.
the next thing you knew, you blew an hour and a half you didn't want to blow.
Yeah.
And and you're working on something that was a really much lower priority.
Right.
That's been I've actually struggled with some of that today, just because we have an online community, and so
Uh-huh.
everything that's not been done before, people tend to ask. And so, for example, in our online community, we had somebody join who can't speak any English,
Wow.
and in the past, um, it never even dawned on us that someone would actually do that. and so And so now we're trying to figure out how to deal with it. Well, that ended up taking a lot of my time today, but I found out about it in an email.
And the higher level you go into an organization, the less that person probably should be spending doing that sort of thing, doing the email thing. There's a book called The World Without Email. And
Oh,
that idea is like, wow, Really? You can actually do that? And it's kind of an over exaggeration, but basically, instead of having email rule your to-do list, and most people use their inbox as a to-do list, you can, especially leaders,
Yeah.
actually say, I'm going to spend this time in that each day, and I'm just going to do that, and then I'm
Mhm.
going to be out. And then, whatever happens, happens. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a challenge for sure.
Yeah. I actually entered that title. I'm going to look that book up. So,
Yeah, I think it's Cal Newport.
yeah.
Cal Newport. I have a copy behind me, but yeah. Now, that doesn't work as well if you're the assistant because you have to be
Mm,
in the email more and taking care of it. That's what
exactly.
enables that to happen. So I thought it was very funny when the gentleman that my wife serves sent her that book, kind of like as a like, here's where I want to go. And she's
Uh-huh.
like, okay, that means that I am in your email more, because
Mhm.
I'm trying to make that happen for you. So it doesn't
Yeah.
trickle down so well, but it works really well for the leader.
Well,
Um,
and exactly. Well, that was actually part of our conversation today was how to make sure that Fathom notes were accessible to Tammy so that she could send follow-up emails to people after
oh
I have
yeah.
a conversation. Because I spend a lot of time responding to people after we had a call. I end up taking most of the action items because
Hmm.
I'm the one with the new idea. And so the burden's on me to do everything.
Right. Yeah. That's good. I'm glad you guys are figuring that out. Uh, Great tool. If you don't know,
Yeah.
if you're watching this or listening to this at some point somewhere, Fathom.video is sort of an AI note taker that integrates with all the different video platforms and will
Hmm.
summarize your meetings, and you can pick different kinds of summarizations and pull out key clips and things like that. That's what I'm recording with right now. So it's a pretty cool tool to check out. What
Yeah.
would you say to busy leaders, people who might be considering working with a Tammy, um, who have never, they don't have someone like that. They've never worked with someone like that. They don't know how to start working with someone like that. What would you say are one or two things you would say to them?
Well, my first thing I would say is it's an investment in your business. And other people, you've heard other people saying that. I mean, we're not into any revelations here. Um, but I had to agree that I was going to invest some money in trying to become more effective and then also to invest the energy. And so your first 60 or 90 days, you actually slow down a little. You become less productive. But it's just like learning a new way of doing just about anything. You become a little slower before you go faster. We always have to slow down before we speed up, and we all know it. And so that's a big part of this conversation is me trusting God. Being a Christ follower as well, I have to trust God that He
Right.
wants me to be more effective at what we're doing here. I don't believe that He intends for me to just keep doing things the way I've always done them. And so, what do you want me to learn today? And one of those days, that learning was, you really can't afford this, Mike. You need to try it.
Wow. One of the phrases that comes to mind, and I don't know who said it, but slow is fast, and fast is slow.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, you're going slower, but it's actually faster in the long run.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm just fascinated about it because I also want to be more intentional. I don't want to just react to everything. I'm learning that, on my computer screen, I have horrible ADHD. I had, I'm jumping, chasing squirrels all over the time. I've got a dozen windows open. I'm sitting here talking to you over top of all of them. But, that's, I don't want to be like that. I want to pay attention to what Jesus wants me to pay attention to.
Wow, that's really good. That's really good. So, where could people find you if they were watching or listening? What's the website? Where do they go to learn about you?
Certainly. It's followerofone.org, and the one is spelled out. So followerofone.org. and I'm Mike at followerof1.org. Um, and I joke with people, Mike, I want you to know this with all sincerity that I don't want you to feel unimportant at all, but I'll talk to anybody. My job is to try and help every believer do something with their faith. And so anything I can do to help people do that, I'm happy to.
Awesome. That's amazing. I have a similar approach in that I'll talk to a lot of different people who ask for my time, and people, whether it's a 10-minute
Mhm.
call or what have you, um, just because I never know what that leads to, and I never
That's right.
know what how I can help somebody, but I do really enjoy connecting those dots.
Hmm.
When I'm able to make an introduction or suggest something, it it fills my cup. So I'm glad to
Well,
be.
and I think in some regard, Jesus gives us that advantage. As a Jesus follower, if I'm on your calendar, that's not my problem. That's your problem. I'm just listening to the Holy Spirit trying to do what he wants me to do. So,
So when you answer the calls from the latest solar company, what kinds of conversation is that? Uh,
so sometimes I don't answer them, but I do take every now and again, I will ask a scammer, somebody who's called me and is trying to sell me a car warranty or something like that. I have been known to ask them if their mother knows what they do for a living. Um, so
your mom know what you're up to. Yeah,
yeah,
that's hilarious. I love it. Well, I really enjoyed having this quick conversation with you, Mike. I really appreciate you taking the time just to give me some feedback and help me understand a little more in depth about how things have been going with me
yeah,
and where things are headed. And I think we'll be better for it. Hopefully, it's valuable to you as well.
yeah. Thank you for having me, Mike. I'm excited about the future, and this is part of it. So I'm grateful for you.
Well, thanks for listening to this episode. And I would just really appreciate it if you would give us a review on whatever platform you're watching or listening, and also subscribe if you are not subscribed. Thanks, and God bless.